So today, I was urged by one of my staff to go on camera and talk a little bit. There was a school shooting in Evergreen today. 3 people got shot. Don't believe there's any fatalities. I don't know the cause at this point, but I can tell you that one of the main reasons why I persisted on this journey, as well as it was an obstacle, as well as because of a school shooting where my boy attended. And there's things that you go through as a parent, and you know that you don't ever want to go through it and never wish it on anybody else. There's probably a lot of arguing going about why it happened or circumstances or different things like that. And there's people, again, fighting against each other. But when you think about, as a parent, what it's like going through something like that, I don't know really what to compare it to. In 2019, it was the avalanche. And then on the way over here, sorry, I might cry a little bit, but, ran into my daughter's ball, Allie, and she was born 1 month later to the day. And then one month later, I was already motivated to capture some stories for Regenerative Inspiration, but at that point it was called 7,000 Stories, where I wanted to capture 7,000 stories over 7 years, 7 continents, all sorts of adversities. So anybody could actually reach out to a story of somebody that had overcome and really have the ability to know that they're not alone and that there is hope. And Regenerative Inspiration is now kind of spawned from that, but it's been a journey. And it was that day when I was actually filming the first story, and it was a good friend of mine. I had no idea they'd ever gone through anything. But they had been human trafficked when they were young, and you never would have known. And they came out on camera talking about that. 28 years, I believe. They were, a CFO of a Fortune 500 company, and nobody knew. Nobody knew. They held that burden with them. Since that time, I will say that they have been very, very much active, and it made a significant difference for them just to say something. And but that derailed that day when I was filming that. I got my phone, like normally it's not on when you're filming, so it's buzzing. And I finally looked at it, and I saw all these calls and from family members and things like that, and I'm like, what's going on? At that time when we were filming, that's when the school shooting had happened in Littleton, in the STEM school in Highlands Ranch, and my boy was attending, and I would take that avalanche all over again for the void in your heart that you feel when you don't know, and what the parents just went through today when they're called and they know there's been a shooting, and they won't tell you anything because there could be, other circumstances they don't know about yet, or like they don't want to give up too much information for the crime investigation. And there's just this solid hole in your heart. And, it's different, probably at different schools. They have different procedures. I mean, it's just nuts that we've had so many in Colorado, and I spent half my life in Colorado. I know people affected by today in Evergreen. And I mean, even today, Kirsten, who works with me, has worked with me since 2019, has, 10 people calling her because she went to school there. So, I mean, that she was also near the Columbine shooting, and we've done a lot in support of the Columbine Memorial. We've done a lot of support around just donating our services. We worked with Rachel's Challenge, which is a phenomenal solution for schools to implement, but schools sometimes think it's too expensive. And it gets like, the shooting is a symptom of something much bigger. And we all know that there's a root cause out there, and we have to get down to it. Those that want to just get down to the basics and understand, like, okay, there's hurt. There's things that people harbor in themselves, and it turns into hate to a point of like wanting to kill somebody. And that hate, that anger, that deteriorates your heart. It deteriorates your soul, your purpose, bitterness, same thing. It's just, couldn't really formulate my thoughts. And again, I didn't really want to go on camera today because, like, as soon as you hear about a school shooting, it's like I went right back into that moment, and I felt like I was somewhat, past that. I mean, it's been 6 years right now, but ultimately, it's something that is much more of a motivation at this point because we need to get more stories out there, more stories of hope, more stories of good and love and people overcoming and showing leadership traits, whether that's a leadership as a team manager or a CEO, it doesn't matter. They're all the same traits. They're just maybe different circumstances that you have to go through to get there. And I think from my heart, I know that I want to talk to the parents that are there that are going through this cycle in their head. Because when you get to that school, if I can describe this a little bit, typically there's tons of emergency vehicles around. Like, I mean, I remember in our case there was like hundreds of emergency vehicles of every type you could possibly imagine. You weren't allowed to go in the school. It's a crime zone. And so you have to find some place else, and you're trying to find texts, and there's no cell service because everybody's trying to use their cell phone. And so you finally get to, like, we had to go to a community center, and sometimes it's two different areas because they're not big enough to hold all the parents. And so then you're in a holding area, like at a gym, and you're just waiting. And then a bus load comes and your kid's not on it. And you know somebody, in our case, somebody had died. We knew at least one person had died, if not more. And it's heart-wrenching. It's heart-wrenching to know that. And I think a lot of you have probably gone through something like that where you just didn't know, you couldn't do anything. You were like just completely, there's nothing you could do. You're standing there helpless and wondering and not knowing. And that was so much worse than being like trapped under, 20 feet of snow or whatever it was, 5 feet. I don't know. I couldn't move. But the crazy thing about this all is, I guess the thing that really comes down to is that there's parents right now, they're going through that same thing. And I know that there was a lot of what ifs that went through my head. Like, what if it would have been my child? Because my child, I mean, thankfully, thank God, like, he was fine. And you see that smiling face and just your heart just, oh, I can't even describe what that feels like. And then, then that evening, that night, you have the what ifs. Like, what if he was in that room? What if he was in that, what if something didn't happen? What if somebody didn't stop them? What if it would have kept going? What if there was more than one? What if? And all those what ifs they kill you as a person. I mean, there's other circumstances for sure. So this is a lesson to anybody that's going through something that, like, there's a what if. Well, it didn't happen. And the thing that I think that I've found, just through a few of the things that I've gone through my life, which are way tamer than so many other stories that I've heard, and that we've documented. You just write it down. Just start writing it down, because otherwise your brain goes through this cyclical loop, and you don't really confront it. You just your brain will not shut off, and so I think, writing down everything that you're thinking at that point, your brain can finally start to stop going in that cycle. And I mean, I guess, not a psychologist, but I think that was a way that I coped with things. But I hope that, we can move with regenerative inspiration, that you can move with something in your life. I mean, start with something simple of giving, your kids a hug, your neighbor a hug, your family a hug, your wife a hug, your husband a hug, your spouse a hug. Just give some love out, your pet, give them a hug. They deserve it. They need it. And you do too. And my best of wishes and condolences to everybody. And there's so many things that happened today. And I know it's not just an isolated event. There's many things that happen across the world that have not been good to somebody. And so you never know what that is and how far reaching just a small act of kindness can be. And, I think if we can be more thoughtful on that and keep up our mission and keep going. So I'm going to keep mine up. I got 100 episodes I got to get done. I have to do it, and I can't stop. And, 7,000 stories, we'll see if we can get there or not. But there are more than 7,000 stories. Everybody has a story. And even if it's just recording your own, and maybe that's releasing you from something or recording somebody else's, maybe we'll find a place where we could post it. So I would absolutely love that participation of a community. That's what I've envisioned for 6 years now. So maybe we can all do it together and hit that 7,000 number. That'd be a lot of fun, I think, and it would heal so many people, I believe, and maybe you in the process. So keep your chin up, love somebody, hug somebody, and yeah, let's take it to the next level. Let's get to a root cause here and bring love in, because that'll supersede the hate and the anger and the bitterness. Love you all.